This video is about what to do when it doesn't work, when things don't work. From training all these people over the years, 5%, 10%, I usually screen them pretty good. They have a problem making it not work, and like clients on funding and stuff get money and like approvals, and like 30% drop out because they don't like the actual reality of success, because they're more comfortable with the fear of living in fear and being able to complain and say how things aren't working, because they like the Dr. Phil, which is actually what they're used to. So their brain is used to that. So like when banks would call them to verify identity and all these things for years, they would flat out sabotage the deals and make it not go through. I could never figure out why in the world this didn't happen. This is a common problem. People are used to being in the comfort zone. The problem is when you're comfortable being average income or where you're at, you have to change your entire mindset. In order to make it big and succeed and actually get things done, is you can't be in the middle. You have to be extreme one way or extreme the other. So in order to have success, you have to be hardcore, off the chart, aggressive, and make things happen and have a hardcore work ethic with the highest paying, best margin type of product, be it you're selling a house or selling a car, or if you're doing commercial real estate like I train you. Some of these guys, well, a couple said they need help. That means you got to put the effort in and the work effort, and that means you got to be bold, and that means you got to make shit happen. Now, when I was going through college and had over like 51 different jobs, and most of them, if they weren't a salesperson as a manager, every freaking manager wanted to fire me because I outworked them. And I was a little employee that outworked everybody in my position and outworked the people above me, and doing my job and their job and going on doing everybody else's job, because then every manager on the planet knows this fucker is going to take my job. Now, that's because I was. And then when I had a temporary job in the summers at $7 an hour, I work over, 120, 130, 140 hours a week or whatever, make over $1,000 a week. Thought I was making big money. You got to be hungry. If you're not hungry and you're average and you just like look at half empty and not put your 100%, 50%, 150,000% effort into it, it's not going to happen. You're never going to make it anywhere. Getting rich and staying rich takes hardcore work ethic and serious. I mean, you gotta find out what you're made of and make it happen. Now, you can go win the lottery and lose it. But if you want to make money and keep it and always be in the money every day, you got to act like you never had money, and you got to be so afraid and hating being poor or where you are that it makes you driven and successful. I mean, I'm talking like I was making good money at $7 an hour. That's like $1,000 some bucks a week. And then bartending, I was making $1,000 some a week, all while doing college and stuff. And then after college, got my own profession that paid terrible. And I'm like, man, if I just had something that'd make money that I would put my abilities to, I'd be freaking millionaires, multi-millions and stuff. And that's how I got out of it. It took me nine years
plus 2 years trying to find a bank and mortgage company to even hire me.
3. So when I got into mortgage, that took 2 years to get into the fucking thing, because nobody would hire me. I had no experience. So I tried every freaking bank. Nobody would hire me. Got no experience. I was bullshit. And it was the same story about DNA analysis. You can't, you're not an A student. You don't have the experience, all this shit. I did internships. I did all this stuff. I went to all these interviews, and I finally got in, and I did it. And Same with the mortgage business, and this is back in the day before, this is way back. No one would hire me, so I was so aggressive. Then I finally got hired. The guy said, we're going to put you in the supply room. You're going to call day and night, and, basically nonstop. And I didn't care. He said, I had to hire you because you wouldn't leave the interview. And I never said no, because that's what I was hungry. I knew I could make it. A lot of people, if you get skills, you get a product or whatever, and they teach you how to do something, if it's sold house, whatever it is, these things. And I see realtors do this all the time. You see some realtors making big money all the time, and they got people working for them, and they're busting ass, making this kind of money, and you got other realtors, this is a prime example, other realtors crybabying it, I can't make it, they get on a team, and they complain, I don't make enough money because I'm on a team, or they get on where they're just by themselves, I can't do it, the industry is bad, there's too many houses on the market, and the value, they just come up with all kinds of bullshit. But there's always the ones that are hardcore aggressive, they got to buy ads, they go out, they go door to door, they go to flyers, they go to events, they network, they do all this stuff, they're constantly driving it, they're pushing. And then the lazy realtors are just sitting there, don't answer the phone, or they answer and they're dead, or they don't do this. Dude, if you can't, you're never going to be successful unless you look at yourself as the problem. Why am I not making money? I had to look at myself and I did everything, I made a lot of money before I even made money, because I'm doing $7 an hour, working all the time, bartending, going to school, then being in analysis, I didn't pay much, but after being in there all those years, I'm like, well, it's not about intelligence, it's not about all this education, it's not about that, and I got that goal, so I was like, man, I'm sick of being broke. I'm so sick of being broke. I'm sick of paying for cars, paying for college, paying for books, and not having no money. I was just sick of it. I was sick of it. Seeing my sisters always have it, and my dad trying to control me with it, my mom being controlled with it, which, dude, it drove me insane. I hated money. I hated not having money. I worked so hard, but I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just giving you an example that if you have the drive and the work ethic and you actually apply yourself, well, I can't figure it out, I can't do this. Well, then you got to readjust. What is going wrong? Why is it not working? If you have, if it's houses, you got to get in the right places, get into sales groups, get into networks, get into Facebook groups, go door to door, do more charities, do more things where you got to be around more people, meet more people, hang out with other people, put on things, do a charity, have events, do all kinds of stuff, meet people, get your name out, put your name all over the bus stops, get on the radio. Just the fact that you look at it like you're going to make it no matter what, versus I can't, or this or that. And if you look at the future of where you're at from 5 years from now, you're going to say, well, I made, billions of dollars, whatever, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and you tell yourself this, and you're going over it in your mind. You write it out, or you just say it in your mind. Every time you get negative, you go 5 years in the future and talk in past tense. Well, I did this, and did this, and did this. Change your negativity to and then when you're talking like that, and it all started on this one day, you gotta change things, and you start making shit happen. But people are so comfortable with the average and afraid of the success, and they don't think it's possible, that you brainwash yourself to not even making it happen. There isn't one industry you can't make it in, and then the industries that pay the most and make the most money. I mean, now you got all this stuff that wasn't even available in the old days. You got all this social media, ways to connect, you got LinkedIn, you got every single avenue to get a hold of people. And the internet, that stuff wasn't even really around. You got every way to overcome an obstacle. The only obstacle really in life right now is work ethic, attitude, and being bold and making shit happen. Now, you got inflation and you're going broke because you're not doing anything, or you lose money in the stock market or wherever you are doing that, when you got to be investing in yourself, where that is the highest capital return, your highest margin. Invest in yourself. And if you're getting into real estate, or you're going to be passive investing, with all these idiots going, always be closing dumb people, where they're putting up passive money from a person that puts them in a bad position, that don't even know what they're investing in, or can't even negotiate, or they're car salesmen that don't even know the sales game and don't even teach that. You're giving your money away. You might as well go to Vegas in the casino and put your money in that, because it's not. You should be ABC, always best choice, and do it yourself and make yourself the money, and then put it into a passive model after it's in like absolute. It's make it active, ultimate, total control, and then put it in passive. But you should never do passive income or passive investment, give your money to anybody and let them be in something that's total control. You need something that gets active with ultimate total control. Other than that, you're getting ripped off, or you're making a bad move. Maybe later on, I got excess money in stocks and stuff only because I got other things, lots of other money going in other things and stuff. I would never do that in the beginning, and that's like you would just do that stuff at the very, very end. But until you're to that point, you got to have control of every single thing, everywhere your money goes, and every single action you do, and you got to be, closing on high revenue, high market, high margin product. And commercial real estate's so hot right now, especially retail and apartments and all these things. If a person wants to make it big, you're going to make it big. But if a person subconsciously wants to fail, you're going to fail. There's so many angles and ways. I teach how to get you cash out and do all these things, but some clients, I can't teach them anything because they're sabotaging their own mind. And you're going to find ways to not succeed. And, what's harder? You busting your ass like it's life or death every day, or you just staying average. See, if you're in the military or martial arts or anything like that, you get that objective done, or others die, or you get the objective done, like if you're training or whatever in a fighting situation, or you die. It's like your mind, you got to train your mind to be focused and self-disciplined and actually pull it off. But that comes with practice and focus and getting your mind off of all this other crap. You start out doing it 15 minutes, an hour a day or whatever, till you can get yourself trained to do it all the time and focus and generate this absolute 100% concentration, focus on the item in front of your face until you get that objective done. One objective, then you go to the next objective. If you're doing a keto like randori and you're fighting 50 people or whatever, you're training with 20 or whatever, you're always safe if you're concentrating 100% on the attack in front of you, or the first attacker that attacks you. You're concentrating 100% on your technique, your movement, projection, or mobilization, or however you're going to throw the guy, and throw him into the other people like dominoes or bowling balls, human bowling balls, because you're always moving, and you can do the motions, the centrifugal force, and the energy with the dynamics and the body physics. You can't be touched because you're still moving. And when you're moving an object in motion, either power goes through a circle or power goes through a straight line or through a relaxed body, and it comes from the ground. And if you're doing all the techniques and all the principles correctly, you can't be touched. You might get you're moving, so you can't be attacked when several people are around you and you're throwing people and things like that. They can't get a hold of you because all the people surrounding you, you're moving with the person in front of you, or if it's in Taekwondo, you're lining the opponents up in a line, and you're fighting them, so 20 people in a line, and you make it angles. You don't do the same mistakes like UFC or whatever, where they go straight backwards. You always go back and left angle, right angle, or left forward, right forward, never toe to toe. Maybe you go left forward or right forward. You know you're on their left, you're at their 90 degree, they have to use that arm. That eliminates a whole nother arm, so you already have them at an advantage because you're already in the right position. Just like business and success, put yourself in the right position. Put your mind in the right position and start closing deals. Start making shit happen. Go at it 150,000%. Be it an hour, 15 minutes, or 2 hours a day, and make it happen. Once you start closing deals and start getting results, apply the same principle no matter what it is. If you're a realtor, if you're into commercial real estate, or if you're into car sales, whatever, and you just burn out on it, you can't close a deal, well, you take a day off and spend on hitting on women. I mean, you could be an ugly dude, hit on 20 girls, and you'll perfect a strategy and an angle and self-confidence by doing it, and make yourself do 20 girls a day. I mean, I used to meet so many girls just from growing up and all this stuff in sales, and I'd be in sales. I love sales because the more rejections you get, the more closer you are to getting a closed deal. But if you don't put yourself in that situation, like, the art of war, put yourself on death's ground and move forward, you're never gonna move forward and succeed. You have to bust your brain out of the comfort zone and actually not just want to be successful and rich. You got to have a fear and hate where you're at. If you don't have that, you're just going to be average every day, not close nothing. So like you want to do the experiment of breaking your brain out of that. I mean, like, I don't know if you're married or something, it may not work, but just an example, I mean, your goal would be like, okay, you got an hour, how many phone numbers can you get, or how many girls can you get, or some just whatever deal you can manage and track. I mean, and you'll perfect your system and strategy and build it up that way. It applies to everything. But so many people get stuck on all this mental programming. Schools, Facebook, news, radio, TV, music. Put your brain on flatline, comatose. If you go back, like when, the people came to America, whatever, and you want to take over land, you're going to be on a land drive, getting your land, and you're going to go out and get your food, and you're going to get your house built, and you're going to build your garden and have your wife take care of the garden. You're going to go hunt, and you're going to get things done. You get your cattle and your horses, and you're going to build your own success. Nobody else is going to do it for you. I mean, it's not, you can't just, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is where you water it. And that means you got to apply yourself. Everybody's like, I can't make it. I don't have any ways to make it. Dude, you could be at home. You could sit there in your backyard and grow organic food and turn around and sell it. You could go buy little succulent plants at a plant store and break off all the leaves and plant them all, and then grow a garden and sell all of them for like $5 or $10. Or you could go make organic soap and turn that into something. Or you could go find nice, beautiful rocks and paint them and sell them. Or you could go find like some big rocks and make them into waterfalls. Or you could just sit there and find a way to, I don't know, dig a hole. I mean, you could get your own well water or something. Or you could just take advantage of what you have. I mean, there's always a way. Or like the doggy daycare in your backyard, or like whatever. You got to take advantage of the things you have and use it and apply yourself and use hardcore work ethic. If you're not doing that and you don't look at it that way, it's not going to happen. And if what you're doing isn't working, then break the equation down to like, where's the real problem? And then focus on that little piece of the puzzle and then apply the whole big picture. So I don't know. If you're a younger guy or whatever, like this friend of mine was a bodybuilder, and I was a bodybuilder, and like we'd go out all the time, and he would always get stuck with fat girls. Not stuck, or he'd always seek them out. Nothing wrong with girls that are overweight. I'm just saying, if you're fit and you're looking good, I mean, you should be able to get a girl that's your same. I said, what happened? He goes, well, when I was like 13, I had a party, and I thought if I had the one girl stay later, I would be able to sleep with her or whatever. I go, well, yeah. Did you ever think that you had the party, you could have got the best girl there? He goes, no, I never looked at it that way. And he got in his brain so bad, and he'd won competitions and stuff. I mean, he looked like he came out of a magazine. So, I mean, he could have got other girls. I had to quit hanging out with them because, like, back then when I was superficial. Now I'm pretty much don't care. I talk to everybody. I'm not like a pig anymore. But he literally, to this day, I mean, this is years and years later, I mean, he has such low confidence and self-esteem. He never couldn't get a girl that wasn't overweight. So, like, he sabotaged himself. That's what people are doing all the time. I mean, well, the example, if you want to lose weight or you want to put on muscle, whatever, you got to have self-discipline and drive and all that stuff, and then find the piece of the puzzle that's not working. Then work double hard on that part of it. But if you're that person, I'm bringing this up because, like, if he'd have started out hitting on hot girls at the very beginning, and then later on go to models, and then, like, you know, girls in movies and stuff, you just keep going higher and higher. Versus backwards. But if you never start out at that level, you're never going to succeed. So when you're doing this, you probably don't want to drop down to lower level because that's just going to make it worse. But you got to work out, like, I'm not going into finite details for some things because I don't want to expose a bunch of information about making money and, like, real money. I mean, but everybody that has hired me, they know exactly what I'm talking about in ways that they could apply this to different things. But success and money is a game. It's a mental game. And, well, I had none in the beginning, and I mean, because the work ethic and the boldness and, like, the knowledge I acquired and the mentors I had, and even the jobs I had, like, when I outworked my position, I outworked the other people's position above me. I ended up doing their job, the guys above me job, and the manager's job. I learned the whole system, and that's just in that. But then when I got into the mortgages, and then I got with the right people and all this other stuff, and I trained all my guys and stuff, you know, it starts a snowball effect. But you never get that if you never really get into the zone where you're pushing it life or death. If you're just gonna, oh boy, it's kind of like talking to an alcoholic. I mean, it don't matter what you tell them. It doesn't matter if their brain is stuck on addiction and not rehab. It's not going anywhere. I mean, if you're stuck on average and not making things happen, you gotta get your brain out of the comfort zone and rehab what's going in it and what's going out of it and how you're making things work. And also you have to look at, like, you know, the glass is definitely half full, because just from a perspective of a house, I mean, there's always ways to make money, and there's so much money to be made, it's insane. But a lot of people get so used to being the average comfort, they don't realize that the money is so easily around. I think because I had it so many years where I couldn't really work because I had to do school and like just do average jobs and temporary stuff or bartend and, you know, work for other people. And that, I mean, that was like torture to me. That's like 13 years of torture before I even got into my industry. So when I got into it, man, I destroyed it. And then I've been destroying it ever since because like it is nothing but a pure gift or opportunity to be around and have the ability to make so much money. And there's so many things you can make money at. I mean, every single thing you apply yourself to, you can outwork the other person and outdo them on a low level. On a higher skilled level, like you know, like commercial real estate, or like an attorney or a doctor, somebody that has a lot of skill and knowledge of stuff that took a lot of years and things that other people don't even know. I mean, if you have that ability plus your drive and everything, man, you're off the chart. That's why when I first started the mortgage company, the one mortgage company I was working with, every day they screwed up shit because I had so many deals they couldn't keep up, and they keep screwing them up. But I never got beat in sales, not one time. And it was the largest mortgage company back then, the one I worked for. So I would spend that time. It ended up being like a full page, really small type, but how I would make a company is streamlined, perfect, and run perfect. What cities, when I do it, how I do it, who would hire, when I wouldn't hire, how many I'd hire for each city, how much overhead would be for every single city. And I did that every time, and that went on for a year because I kept screwing up my shit. But I made a lot of money back then, and I kept that page. So I took that page and I hired everybody, and then I made a training manual, and I trained all these guys. That page, dude, if I put on the internet pictures of like who these people are and what they did with it, she'd be like, holy shit. Yeah. You're talking, I mean, my first office, because I put all these other companies out of business, because we would hit the trash cans, get the pipelines, pay the title companies to tell us whose deals were over 100,000, and our sales skills were on the phone and like boiler room were just killing it. And then we had a backup fake company that would call them and say, yeah, we can't beat the rate, so you better go with those guys. We do all kinds of sales tactics, and we were closing down the city. So literally we put all these other businesses out of business until they hired a private investigator, followed me around and everybody around. Every time I had a conference meeting, they'd follow everybody, and then they found out we're hitting everybody's trash cans, getting the pipelines, and closing all these deals, and got in trouble for unfair business practices. But I mean, so that's 20 guys and 5 processors. So out of 19 of them, out of 20 guys, 19 guys stabbed me in the back, took their deals when that happened, and closed them at other companies, made their money, and left me with nothing after I was making like $150,000 a week. I had one guy left, and the other 19 took off, started their own companies, and all. Well, most of them succeeded. A lot of them end up self-destructing because they're kind of stupid, and like karma hit them. None of them made it like I did, but they all made it because of the path I created, the paper I wrote, and the training manual I wrote, because of my brain. Nobody else has a normal fucking brain. Nobody's brain actually works and applies themselves when anybody could. Then I take the one guy, I start over, build the company back up all over the nation, and then, you know, really perfect it completely and sell the company. Which, even during that, I mean, a lot of other people I fired and some other people still started other companies and made big money. My point is, you have to control your brain to get your money to come back to you. If you can't control your mind and you can't put work effort behind it and like identify the problem where you're making the mistake at and trying to work around that issue, you're going to get it. And boy, there's always a way. But there's never a way if your mind is clogged up with, even if you're around somebody that has, I mean, sometimes I'll get a call and somebody be all negative. I can't do it. I don't even answer the call and even talk to them. Because, like I said, one bad attitude, I've had to fire an entire office before. Because one bad attitude is like Ebola virus. It'll destroy the whole office or anybody that's around. You cannot have one bad attitude. You can't have one negativity. You cannot have anything of pessimism about whatever you're doing. And if you've got that soaking in your mind or slipping in your mind, you're not going to be able to succeed and make it. I mean, it's like, like you're a soldier. If you're a soldier in the middle of the war and you're on a team and your job is to, whatever it is, wire the explosives or whatever for a bridge or whatever your task is, or put on some explosive on the bottom of a ship or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I was never military. I did a lot of martial arts and had a lot of guys come in and we train them and other things, big deal. But that doesn't even matter. What matters is that they do train a person to focus on one thing at a time, and that's like the biggest key principle in life, is that you have to focus on something so intricately and so committed, so like a samurai, like Makyon is called no mind. It has to be done so many times that you know what you're doing so much that it becomes a habit and a subconscious response. So when you go through this mental drill or whatever you're doing, you do this so much and you're so aggressive and you do it so self-disciplined, and you're not thinking and you're actually doing what you need to be doing without anything else popping in your mind, and the only thing in your mind is finish the task, life or death, you're going to make it. I mean, that's basically the principles of Art of War, but that applies to life. I didn't realize that even Art of War was around back for a while, for many years, but so many people's minds are so weak and so bad and so uncommitted. I mean, that's why I hired only people with no experience, because almost everybody in any industry in real estate, mortgages, they had all been beat down mentally because they just never had the right beginning, the right start, or the right drive, or the right mindset. When I trained all these guys didn't know shit. And you know what? That's like taking your little kid skiing and you take them down blacks and they're skiing blacks. This is what my parents did when I was younger, or my uncle, and we're going down blacks and all these things, and like I took all these guys that never had nothing, and they didn't know that they couldn't not make money. They weren't brainwashed to think they were going to fail. I mean, so like a kid on a ski slope. I mean, like, see, but if all these people had experience and they failed because they're around a bunch of losers and it was all in their brain. And so they think, well, I can't make it, I couldn't succeed. Well, yeah, you just put that seed in your head and you're not gonna. You didn't. So, of course, I had to get rid of them. And then we'd have salesmen come in from like outside trying to sell coffee machines or other things. We'd bring, because, you know, business, they always want to sell you whatever, marketing programs, whatever. And my salesmen are so hardcore, we'd bring in, they want to sell us. We say, sure, come on in. We put them at the conference table, and I put a couple guys in there, and we just, I mean, a lot of time these sales guys, when they were trying to do rebuttals against mine, they'd walk out crying. They walk out crying because they didn't know what the hell real sales is. Real sales is being 100% honest, but being able to be so aggressive and close the deal with, you know, good training about what your product is and why it's better than the competition and all these other stuff. I mean, nobody even does real sales. I mean, everybody says they do sales, but I mean, like, I mean, sales is something everybody needs to work on. I mean,
out of all those jobs, I had a lot of sales for like roofing, construction, um, retail clothes, and other, even the dating service, RVs, like different things. I had got in trouble for selling half price suits for full price. And then when I sold RVs, I got in trouble for being too aggressive and like. But when I had the sales jobs, the real sales managers loved me because I never was outbeaten. And in bartending, I always had the highest register on sales. I always had high sales. I'm gonna have to do a whole video alone on sales, and then I will teach you a lot of things I learned and evolved and perfected, and I taught my guys that are really good. So I will put that out, and I'll go over all these things and tricks, the way to improve a person's sales skills. It's pretty strong. I'll have to do that in a whole nother video, but be concentrating on that. Everybody needs to work on their own sales and get that going. I'm going to do a video for you guys on that later on, but that is another thing that will help you get from point A to B. But a lot of sales is overcoming your fear of rejection. I mean, if you got to go door to door and overcome it that way, whatever you got to do to get over it, that's what you need to do. But door to door is old and it's horrible. But same with telemarketing and going straight for the kill. But I guarantee you, like my guys, it was back when telemarketing was a thing. Until the no-call list came out, I mean, we went and fought it. But, well, actually, we didn't fight it, and a bunch of the companies all got together and wanted to fight it. And we was like, we're not doing it because we could make money other ways off referrals. And one company lied and said, oh, we won and everything. So the next day, we're all telemarketing, and and it was $10,000 fine per call. So, like in one night, I owed oh my gosh, I don't even know how many thousands of dollars I owed. It was probably like close to $1 million because we broke it so bad. The competition really burned us. But anyways, I dealt with that and took care of it. But it was kind of a funny lesson learned. But the sales skills, I mean, if you have sales skill and you can apply this, I mean, you could make any industry work. That goes along with this whole thing of getting your brain out of the comfort zone.
not just mirroring, which plays a part of it, and recognizing an objection and then ignoring it. That's just typical car salesman bullshit. But I mean, real sales and aggressive boldness and being able to close deals, finding out what your problem is and making things happen. So if it's sales, focus on your sales. If it's whatever it is, you got that. But you're never going to make it anywhere if you don't apply yourself and don't really make things happen. So you got to get your mind out of the comfort zone and make things happen. That's what I'm saying. That takes a lot of work, because if you're stuck with being average and not being in that situation, I mean, I'll go sleep under a bridge if you can't get your mindset right, and then do that for a while at night until you close the deal. You got to put yourself on the reward system. And like bodybuilding and working out, you can't eat until after you work out every day. You don't have no food until after you've worked out. You got to earn it. I mean, like everything you got to earn. And you got to earn money, and you got to make money. And you got to be having serious anger, serious fear, and hate of the position you're at. And like when I flunked first grade, I got all these people picking on me and stuff, and I kind of got beat up a bunch, and I was skinny. I didn't turn into a bully, but I knew for a fact my shit didn't like that. So after high school, I ended up getting with a buddy of mine who was a bodybuilder, and I ran into one of the really great martial artists, and I started training. My first day of training, I went in there, and we were sparring. Like this guy named Trey, I was going left, and he was going right, and he did a right outward crescent and knocked me out so hard. Man, I never quit. I knew that was fantastic because eventually I'm going to learn how to be good. And if you get with the best people and you just realize you're going to lose, you're learning. And eventually you train with the best, absolute best people. I mean, we had the Taekwondo team train with us for a couple years, and all these other instructors from back then. It was only jiu-jitsu and judo. Brazilian jiu-jitsu wasn't even out. And like, the best, we had some seriously best instructors. And we're talking like, so I mean, I would go we do jiu-jitsu, and since I was a bodybuilder, they would just enjoy choking me out constantly, like constantly, all the time. It was so bad. They would just lay their elbow on my neck, or they'd just choke me out, and like, dude, that went on for a long time. I never looked at it like, I mean, later on in the years, a few times we would get into real fights and stuff, but like being around that environment and learning and knowing that it's building me up and stuff, and like even when you're in a car hanging out with them, or you're spending time with them, and you're a little like family, you're constantly fighting. You'd be fighting each other in the car, you'd be fighting each other in the restaurant. Because that's what we like doing. We'd get in a fight in a car, and we had to pull over and finish fighting in the parking lot. I mean, like, it's sparring is about 80%, 70% full contact. Or just wait till they come out of their house and just jump them and try and beat them down or catch them off guard, and consider it all training, which builds you up and makes you stronger mentally and able to focus. That's just one example. I mean, you could be doing anything. You could be doing whatever you focus on, whatever your skill is or your talent or whatever. If you want to apply it to work, you have to figure out a way. I mean, so maybe if you're working on sales, you got to get another person to help you with sales. I mean, like a girlfriend or whatever, and you just say, hey, I want you to tell me no. Tell me no. Like, well, role play with you, like as a sales person. But even role playing by yourself, you're gonna get really good at it. That's another thing. Is like you you play both sides of the conversation, and then you can really perfect your sales skills. And you really want to perfect fighting, which nobody even really does or even knows about. Is like the mental imagery of fighting is like when you're not fighting, you're learning, you're training, you're thinking over it and envisioning the techniques and the movements and everything in your mind. And then if you're watching a movie, you watch it in the movie. If you're going anywhere in the store or wherever, you looking at everybody you pass, and everywhere you go, you're doing it in your mind. So by the time you walk by a person, you already did like 20 different techniques before you even passed them. And you do that, and then you train, and you do that every night. So you do it so much that your mind, and you're doing it all the time, so that at night, your mind starts doing it on its own. So when you're laying there in your sleep, you start dreaming it. And when you start dreaming it, whatever it is, be it your profession, whatever it is, it starts happening in your dreams. So your brain is training your subconscious, and then your brain is actually training you in the nighttime, and you train yourself even more. That's like all you UFC fighters and stuff, they're average at best. I mean, they haven't done it very long. They just do more cardio brawling. They don't ever do any angles. There's no, I mean, they're toe to toe. They get on the grapple. There's always a guy stuck on the bottom. I mean, they don't even get out of certain positions. I mean, kind of hard to watch, but if you really perfect your skill, a certain art, it's going to take you like 10 years to perfect it. Well, not perfect, you never perfect it, but 10 years to get it. But if you do this, and you put it in your mind this way, and you format it the right way, you code your mind, you're going to program yourself to where you can think right and accomplish a lot of things, because you got every angle working for you. And when you do this at night, in the daytime, and you focus in your mind, and when your mind is going, and when it using it when you're not applying it, you're able to pull off great accomplishments. But if your mind isn't, if you don't train your mind, or if you have even caffeine in your mind, which kills creativity, or if you drink, or if you have all this other input, your mind has to be able to be content and obsessed with whatever you're learning. And then it's starting to go off and vibrate at higher levels, and then like you're starting to actually, you enjoy it so much that your mind thinks of it on its own. Things will start to happen. I mean, things always happen when a person does this. It's never done it or never applied themselves, but it takes a person that really wants to commit to something to actually format it and do this. Once you do this, you'll go crazy. I mean, you'll start making a lot of money. I mean, you got look at little kids stuck with a video game. I mean, they enjoy it, they keep doing it, they do it all the time. I mean, life is a game. Money's a game. Millions of dollars is a game. Most people are just always on the bottom, and they start getting off the bottom by getting the $1 million brain. I mean, a $1 billion brain. I mean, it has to be trained to be a machine. You train your mind to work without emotions. You can't be like, I feel bad, I feel sad, I feel like I'm not making money, I feel like I can't make it, you gotta eliminate all the feelings, and you just go on the actions and visions of what should be and could be. It sounds like so cliche and generic, but that's kind of how it is. And you gotta force it, you gotta push yourself, you gotta do it. But if you don't ever do that, you never really commit, or you don't ever sleep under a bridge and like use the tools that you have and like push the skills that you have, you're never gonna make it. I mean, you can make it, but just not very far. I mean, but like people, a lot of people I get a lot of people money, and sometimes if you're not dedicated and focused, you just waste it and never go anywhere. But some people get the money and they use it and they have self-discipline and run with it. But a lot of people get a lot of money, they never have money, they just can't handle it, and it changes everything. Money should motivate you, to drive you to get more money until you have an X amount of a goal. But like if the goal is like really success, getting a lot of money, then you would be still getting more money because you like that and that's what you want to get. I mean, at some point, you got to realize after you've done it so many years and you made so much money that then you would slow down. Make sure you put in some time with the family and the wife and all that stuff after you've made it and everything. But I mean, you have to have life in a balance, but yet when you're applied to work and making things happen, you gotta be 150% on your game and like make it happen, or it's never gonna happen. That's what the worst thing is. If like someone says, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. I mean, like, well, you're not even trying, and you didn't try. I don't know how else to say that, but if you're a hardcore closer, you can make money without money. If you're average, weak, and then you just can't make it, then, well, you gotta go do it the old-fashioned way. Find somebody else's money, and then you're gonna blow their money and your money because you never made it over an obstacle. If you never felt success, if you never made it up a hill, that hill is going to catch up to you, and you're always going to keep falling back down the hill. You can cheat and get around it, win the lottery, and the hill, you're still going to end up on the bottom of the hill. But once, it's like businesses. If you start a business with no money, and you make it up the hill, you know you're always going to make money because you made it from when you didn't have it. And you'll never fail. That is a real big key to life. Man, you know, even if you were homeless, you could dig a shelter in the ground, make a nice roof over it, build a chimney in there, cook food. I mean, you could actually do pretty well and get out of the situation or make it even better. I mean, like, it's how you look at every single thing you're at, every single scenario you're at. I mean, like, if you're looking at it at a bad perspective, like, this is so bad, I can't make it, and it's impossible, and you don't trust yourself, and you don't rely on yourself, and you don't feel like your mindset has the tools or the ability to overcome and adapt to anything, man, you're screwed. That's why you got to force yourself mentally. You know what mental strength is making your brain do what you don't want to do. That's mental strength. And in Aikido, this concept is really, nobody doesn't want to teach it that much, but it's really, you didn't hit me, I hit you. And what is that concept? That concept is really a samurai concept that, where you practice being hit a lot and not flinching and not move. Because if you're in a fight and you look at another person and he looks away, I mean, you see it like Tyson and boxing in certain areas. The first person, if you can make another person look away, you already won the fight. Because it takes 1 second. A person looking away, you already won. So this principle of I didn't hit you, you didn't hit me, I hit you, is a training principle of like, where you line up and you just hit people, hit each other. You take turns, one line just, but you can't flinch, you can't move. You can never flinch. And that training allows you to, if you're in a fight, like somebody always going to do a punch, or they're going to always cock back the arm, and you always know which arm it is, you always know they're going to hit, because no normal fighter, a normal Aikido fighter will go from, if your arm is wherever it has position, your whole body moves from the center out, so the elbow will go straight out. But a normal fighter always telegraphs everything. Telegraphs the kicks, telegraphs the punches and everything. They'll cock back the elbow. So you can always tell which hand or which arm they're going to do. And it's so easy to go left forward, right forward, or whatever you're going to throw, whatever, mobilize, project and throw them, whatever, however. But you telegraph it. So in a fight, they're always going to do the push or whatever, but in Aikido, you want them to put all their energy into it, because when they do, you could throw them across the bar, or throw them across the table, or throw them out a window. So the push, you always, if you want to line them up good, you would just, play kind of weak and let them push on you really hard. And then when you already know the next punch is coming, with all that energy, then you can drop and, do like a 180 or 90 or whatever and throw them. And then they're going to go flying. I mean, that's a concept you practice and you train in things and stuff. You have to have your mind. So like in life, if you got to train your mind to do what you don't want to do. In that art, you train so you can, it's called a lure. You either, you're training yourself to be in a better situation. And that means mentally training, doing things you don't want to do. But if you never train your mind like that and have the self-discipline and have mental strength, man, you're never going to close nothing. You won't make any money. You won't go anywhere. Mental strength, well, look at Israel. They're like the smallest nation in the country, and they're surrounded by their enemies, and they all have to go through the army, and they're such, of course they got God protecting them, but even on an army perspective, you got all the girls that are badass, you got all the people there that are trained at a young age. I mean, like, that's mental strength. You have to train your mind to do what it doesn't want to do, and it gets used to it. When you have self-discipline and mental strength, you get freedom. Mental strength equals freedom. Discipline action equals multiple unlimited rewards. You don't ever get that in your life, you don't ever get the multiple unlimited rewards. But everybody else is so used to finding like comfort zone easy and never go anywhere, and you know, you're never gonna learn how to be successful. I mean, martial arts is good. Everybody's kids should be in them. Eliminate bullying, eliminate all this depression, eliminate all these problems, and eliminate them from being brainwashed, because they'd have a better mental ability to detect what's, well, it would help them to detect, you know, what's more fair, more equal, and to be able to stand up for themselves and be able to accept what they want to accept as truth and lies, and prevent them from being more manipulated, because they would be in all these situations where they work the pride out of themselves, and they're used to losing, and they're used to being responsible and put in situations where they can actually, you know, fight their way out of it. And then that would put them in the mindset where they know, you know, certain situations or things or concepts, or they have the ability to control their environment, and they're not afraid. But when you have a weak mind and you're working on really low amount of tools and skills in your mind, then everything else in life just becomes, you just become a robot, and you're not going to make it. But if you accomplish those things with your mind, anything is possible and everything is unlimited. But a normal, average, weak-minded person with no self-discipline mentally, that never does that, never trains their mind, like fighting, like you would train yourself to watch and pick up certain things, like when these people telegraph, I mean, if they're going to do a spin back kick, you always know they're putting their weight on the back foot, or if they're going to lean too much on the front foot, spin back kick is coming. If you go forward and jam the kick, where always, the fighters always go backwards and get clocked even harder, because they do all these mistakes, because they get afraid instead of going into it. You have to train your mind to do what it doesn't want to do. A normal person would be like, go away from it because they're scared. Go away from the hard work because they're scared. Go away from the dedication. Go away from the boldness and making things happen. Go away from focusing and putting in 1,000% and busting in it, being hardcore aggressive. The normal person's afraid of that and doesn't do it. But if you force yourself to do it, but if you can't force yourself to do it, you should sleep under a bridge and realize, man, this really sucks. And get to a point where, like, you wake up and work in the daytime and you realize, man, I got all this stuff available to me and all these opportunities and all these ways to make money, and actually, wow, I didn't even realize this. And then push it. You're going to make a lot of money. You got to make yourself, I don't know how to make some money. For me, it was easy because I hate it. I could not stand not having money. I hated being controlled, and I hated being, like, not able to defend myself in a lot of situations, and then being a weak person when I was younger. Man, ooh, I hated all that shit. And that was my thing. I mean, I didn't even care what it took or how long it took. I was going to change that. And so I changed all those things, because that's why I hate it. And if you realize you really want to be successful, You can't just be like, oh, I want to be, make money, all this. It takes hard work and effort mentally to do these things. I mean, that's what really makes a lot of money. I don't know of any other way to do it. I know that people get lottery and stuff and they don't do it. I know my best friend when I was young, his dad was in oil right when they hit. They kids and he got super rich back when I was real young. And like, I always knew the difference between, I mean, his dad was always so organized. The house, even before they're rich, his house was so pristine. My dad and his dad had the same amount of money, but his house was so organized. I mean, it looked like the beds were made, the closets were just pristine, perfectly organized, like everything's lined up, the kitchen, the bathroom, all. And my dad's house, our house was all right, but not like that. And his dad was my dad was military, just kind of, man, he's difficult, kind of hard on me, like, would hit me and stuff at times, but I'm just saying the differences between like my dad and him. That training on his mind allowed him, even as him, he was always super rich, and his son, he got super rich, and like we're always competitive, and he was always putting one up in me all the time. So I always wanted to be rich for a lot of reasons, but I mean, I ended up surpassing him, but like he had that early training early on, so it was really easy for him. Like, I mean, look at Tiger Woods. He got trained by his dad super early because his dad helped him do that. I mean, like, the key also is specialization. If you specialize exactly in what it is you're doing, like if you're concentrating on whatever it is, if it's commercial real estate, a realtor, whatever, and you dial in and be the best at that single individual thing. Mine was like martial arts and then school and then getting rich, and you specialize in it like beyond any normal specialist and go all the way, then you're always going to succeed. But that's like back to the 100% focus thing. And like when I worked at all these aircraft plants, and I kept outworking everybody in the union who got pissed off, and they would try and threaten, and they're going to beat me up, but they couldn't beat me up. But they're pissed that I was working so hard, and they wouldn't even let me take the test to take all the, I already know I could have passed them already, like all the electrical wiring, all the inputs for like the Six Sigma and doing the planes and stuff. They wouldn't even let me take the test because they know I'd pass and then piss everybody off. So they'd always end up firing me. I'd go to another place and do it. So the point is, I mean, I could have been back then. I couldn't get hired. I could have got hired on if I wanted, but thank God I didn't, because what's the future in that? You're never going to make any money, but average, you get stuck in an average job. You have to look at the big picture, write down what you want, and like make it happen. Make shit happen. Life doesn't happen. If life just happens to you, or you make your life happen, what's it going to be? Like my buddy, I mean, he just stuck with girls that were average and everything versus, I mean, my college girlfriend modeled, then she went to the state, and then she got Miss USA, and I was with her for, well, I should have married her, but didn't. I thought I wanted more women. Anyways, I dated a lot more other women and found my daughter, well, just had some bad ones, but then I had a good one. So I knew what I wanted, and always knew what I wanted. And by doing that and making it happen, I always got what I wanted. So things changed, and now I like helping people get what they want and succeed in stuff. Because really knew how to do that. And I knew how to make a lot of people really rich. Because nobody really could harness their brain and get it to work. But I did that. I could get them to do that, motivate it, and close deals and make a lot of money. The only ones that failed were the ones that self-destruct themselves or self-sabotage. There's always a way to make things happen. If you have the best person, the best trainer, and you have the best tools and the skills, man, I remember my instructor telling me after I trained with him for so long, and I kept getting my ass beat all the time, and we'd spar all the time every day, and we're like 4 hours training every day, and I'm like, I can't get it. He goes, well, you have all the tools, you just got to put them together. And then it started falling into place, and then I just kept going with more and more different instructors. That's just a scenario. That's just an example. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be anything. Train your mind. Make your mind do things you don't want to do. And push it. And actually hate where you're at. And figure out why you're not making it. And that's probably 90% of the problem right there. Now, the commercial real estate training, I got people closing a lot of deals and stuff. They're doing great. You want to get in the strip malls and stuff and get even more money and more skills and more tools. I mean, that's even bigger. That's huge. Now it's great. You need to put money in yourself because right now inflation, if you got cash, you're going to be losing it to inflation. And even if you did passive investing with real estate or whoever, inflation's going to eat it up. Same with the stock market. So that would be a good way to get or pick up any new skill and start getting on it. I mean, that's the best way to make money right now. Especially, well, if you start owning properties, you're going to make bank. I mean, now is a killer time. Anyhow, maybe this will help you out. I don't know. If you want to give me a call, get set up and get things going, my number is 312-473-4163.
Power, realize your power. Finding out myself. Power, realize your power. Finding out myself. Go where you wanna go. Do what you're gonna do. Do what you wanna do. Go where you wanna go. Get on with it. Come on, get on with it. Come on, get on with it. Come on, get on with it. It's what I say. What I say. Listen what I say. Listen what I say. It's what I say. What I say. Get on with it. Come on, get on with it. I go left, you go right. Live it up. Dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up. Dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up. Dance all night. I go left, you go right. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. I go left, you go right. Live it up. Dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up. Dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up. Dance all night. I go left, live it up, dance on. Power, realize your power. Finding out myself, finding out myself. Power, realize your power. Finding out myself, finding out myself. Go where you wanna go. Do what you're gonna do. Do what you wanna do. Go where you wanna go. Get on with it. Come on, get on with it. Come on, get on with it. Come on, get on with it. It's what I say. What I say. Listen what I say. Listen what I say. It's what I say. What I say. Get on with it. Come on, get on with it. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. Get on top now. Get on top. Get on top. Get on top, yeah. Power, realize your power. Finding out myself, finding out myself. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right.